At 87, Ally McGraw finally breaks her silence about Steve McQueen. I always thought Hollywood's greatest love stories looked beautiful from the outside. Then I started reading Ally McGraw's own words years after it all ended, and I realized this wasn't really a love story at all. It was a story about losing yourself and somehow finding your way back. The surprising part? Even now, at 87, Ally refuses to paint Steve McQueen as either a hero or a villain. There are certain relationships that never really leave a person. You can move away. You can build another life. You can spend decades healing. But every now and then, someone asks one honest question, and suddenly 40 years disappear. That's exactly what happened with Ally McGraw. People expected bitterness. Others expected regret. Instead, she gave something much harder. She gave the truth. Not the polished Hollywood version, not the tabloid version, just the complicated truth. And honestly, I think that's why her story still matters today. Before Steve McQueen ever entered her life, Ally McGraw already seemed to have everything people dream about. She had become one of Hollywood's brightest new stars almost overnight. Love Story wasn't simply a hit. It became a cultural event. Suddenly everyone knew her face. She had fame. She had success. She had a marriage to Paramount executive Robert Evans. She had a young son. Looking back now, it's almost strange knowing that everything people admired about her life was only months away from collapsing. Not because of a scandal, because of chemistry. Real chemistry. The kind that doesn't ask permission. Ally later admitted she knew almost instantly something dangerous had happened when she met Steve McQueen while filming The Getaway. She didn't describe it like a fairy tale. She called it chemical. I've always found that word interesting. Not romantic. Chemical. Almost like she knew logic had already lost. Sometimes people recognize the warning signs before they take the first step. They just don't believe they'll actually fall. Steve McQueen wasn't an ordinary movie star. By then he was probably the biggest male actor in America. The king of cool. Motorcycles, fast cars. The quiet confidence everyone wanted. But underneath that image lived a man carrying wounds that stretched back to childhood. He'd grown up feeling abandoned. His father disappeared before he was born. His mother struggled with alcoholism. His teenage years included reform school. Even after becoming one of the biggest stars alive, that fear of being left behind never completely disappeared. Success doesn't erase old pain. Sometimes it simply hides it better. Here's what surprised me. People often assume two famous actors fall in love because they understand each other. Sometimes they fall in love because they recognize each other's broken pieces. Ally had spent years questioning her own worth after growing up in a troubled home. Steve carried deep insecurity beneath all that confidence. Together, they created something incredibly passionate and incredibly unstable. She divorced Robert Evans. She married Steve McQueen in 1973. From magazine covers, they looked unstoppable. The perfect Hollywood couple. The reality inside their home couldn't have been more different. Steve reportedly wanted complete control. He insisted she stop acting. Imagine that for a second. You're at the absolute peak of your career. Studios want you. Audiences adore you. And the person you love asks you to walk away from all of it. Ally said yes. Not because she wanted to, because she was terrified of losing him. That part really stayed with me. How often do people slowly disappear while convincing themselves they're simply making sacrifices for love? Years later, Ally admitted she became exactly what Steve wanted. She cooked. She cleaned. She stayed home. She turned away scripts. She stopped chasing the career she'd fought so hard to build. Meanwhile, Steve's own behavior didn't follow the same rules. Friends and reports described growing jealousy. Rumors of affairs surrounded him. His drinking became heavier. Drug use became another problem. The marriage slowly transformed into something neither of them could control. Ally later admitted she stayed quiet for years because she feared speaking honestly would end the relationship. Ironically, staying silent nearly destroyed her anyway. One thing I respect about Ali is that she doesn't pretend she handled everything perfectly herself. She has openly admitted that loneliness eventually pushed her toward alcohol. Later, even she sought comfort outside the marriage. That's rare honesty. Most celebrity memoirs spend pages assigning blame. Ali doesn't. She accepts responsibility for her own mistakes while still acknowledging what happened to her. That balance makes her story believable. The moment everything changed wasn't dramatic. No screaming, no headlines, just one conversation. By the late 1970s, Ali wanted her career back. She wanted to work again. She wanted to become herself again. According to accounts of the relationship, Steve's response was simple. If she chose acting, the marriage was over. In that single moment, the fear she'd lived with for years became reality. She chose herself. The divorce followed soon afterward. Sometimes freedom arrives looking exactly like heartbreak. Only a couple of years later, Steve McQueen received devastating news. He had mesothelioma. The aggressive cancer spread quickly. He searched desperately for treatments, even traveling to Mexico hoping experimental therapies might save him. Nothing worked. He died in 1980. He was only 50 years old. Ali was just 41. Even though they had divorced, she still mourned him deeply. Love doesn't always end when a marriage does. Sometimes it simply changes shape. The quote that has stayed with me more than anything wasn't angry. It wasn't dramatic. It was heartbreakingly simple. Ali once said, "I wish we had both grown old sober." That's it. One sentence. But somehow it says everything. No revenge, no bitterness, just sadness for the life they never managed to build. Her own journey afterward wasn't easy. Hollywood gradually moved on. The roles became smaller. Alcohol became a bigger problem. Eventually, she entered the Betty Ford Center and committed herself to recovery. That decision changed everything. She later wrote honestly about her childhood, her marriages, addiction, and fame. Instead of hiding from her past, she finally examined it. Eventually, she left Hollywood almost completely. Santa Fe became home. Gardening, painting,